And being in the UK where white is the majority, this Eurocentric standard of beauty was imposed onto me, and that to be lighter skinned, lighter eyed, have lighter features was the only way to be considered beautiful.
My earliest memories as a human being are of being bullied in kindergarten by the kids in my class.
I am Indian, and people from Western civilization looked at me and didn't think I looked Indian enough.
In London, there was very much racism, there very much still is racism, and I'm sure colorism is very much here too, but I think it was in the same way Naomi was discussing, commercials and the way people are viewed, it was very much catered towards people who are white, and the diversity there was very much lacking, and still is. Let's be honest, it still is very lacking.
There is this saying in Tamil which basically translates to even though you're dark, you have good features.
He looked at me, pointed at me and said, "Blackie."
My name is Aparna. I'm a choreographer, performer, educator, arts activist. I also speak and write.
Hi, I'm Nandita Das, and today I'll be talking about colorism and how it has impacted me personally and why I feel so strongly about it.
My name is Abigail, and I work as a middle school humanities teacher.
Hey everyone, my name is Seema Hari. I am an engineer by profession, but I also do a little bit of modeling on the side to represent dark-skinned Indians in the modeling world.
Hi, my name is Sharon Muthu, and I'm the ambassador to Hollywood for the Dark is Beautiful campaign.
I had kind of resigned to my fate that, I was going to be ridiculed and discriminated against very early on, and that kind of broke me. And I remember as a young child being depressed and going into my teenagers becoming suicidal about this fact that I had no way of escaping these crazy beauty standards of the world. I had no way of escaping the society where everyone seemed to be bought into the fact that I was ugly because of my dark skin. And you're kind of silently suffering alone in all of this.
Growing up as a dark person, I think there is no escaping people's comments, concern, quote unquote, how they want you to not become any darker, how you can lighten your tan. Everyone's giving you some advice or the other, whether they are your relatives, whether they are your friends.
There are no pictures of me between the ages of, I would say, 11 to about 17, other than the mandatory class photograph from school. I would run away from the camera.
So I think my first exposure was when I was also quite young, and maybe I was about 5 or 6, and I was in school and we were all washing our hands before we went for lunch. And one of the girls next to me said, "Oh, you have to wash your hands twice because your skin is dirty." And I think that was kind of my first exposure to colorism. And because I've grown up in a predominantly white environment in the UK, I think it kind of stuck with me, and retrospectively you look back and realize what was wrong that had been said, and it's only been kind of recently that I've understood that that was all part of colorism feeding in from a really early age.
I came across it once in around 6th grade, and it didn't happen directly to me, but I saw it happening to a friend of mine where since he has a darker complexion, he wouldn't be allowed to play like football with the rest of us. And people in class would actually call him certain names. And I didn't understand why, because we were actually really close and we shared a lot of common interests. So I didn't understand why, just because of that, other people couldn't be friends with him. And again, in 10th grade, we had a new classmate join us, and it was the same thing again. And then that whole idea was cemented for me that this type of thing exists. And that most people wouldn't talk to him just because, not because they were shy, but because he was darker. They were kind of scared to talk to him, and I didn't get why.
I remembered even when I was even younger that I had been exposed. There was this girl that came to our class, and she had darker skin compared to everyone in our class. So I at that age, I didn't really care about how light or dark her skin was, but anyone's skin was. But there were some people in my class who would leave her out of activities and games because of that. And at that age, I didn't realize, but as like I look back on it, I realized how unfair and like bad it was at that age to think like that. Yeah, so that's when I was exposed.
Yeah, so actually I came to this concept of colorism like when I was 9 or 10, because that's when I started watching a lot of television. And then I saw these commercials, it said fair and lovely. I was like, I asked my grandmother, like, why do they say fair and lovely? Why can't it be like fresh and lovely? Why do they have to be fair and lovely?
And I never even thought I could be a model. I never saw someone like me pursuing that dream. And I even organized and choreographed an entire fashion show for my school. And sure enough, when I was backstage, all the girls were discussing how I was in the fashion show because I organized it. But in real life, I could never be a model because of the way I looked and because of my dark skin.
इंडिया में जितने लोग उतने रंग, मगर फिर भी हम नहीं सुधरेंगे, हाँ? देखा है तुम्हें ताले मारते हुए, धुतकारते हुए तुम्हें, हाँ? रंग का मजाक उड़ाते हुए तुम्हें, हाँ? देखा है तुम्हें ताले मारते हुए, धुतकारते हुए तुम्हें, हाँ? रंग का मजाक उड़ाते हुए तुम्हें, हाँ?
Late 90s, early 2000s, and the Indian market didn't really have makeup for brown skin. And I remember one of the starkest memories I have is of me having a complete breakdown like about half an hour before a show, before a performance, in a green room, because I couldn't find the right shade of lipstick that I thought suited me.
As a teenager, I remember feeling very insecure. I remember feeling very rejected and upset, all because of my skin color.
There was absolutely no positive representation of dark skin across all media. So not only weren't there any role models who were dark skinned and being successful in creative fields, but there was also no positive dark skinned characters shown in television that you could aspire to be. They always say that you cannot be who you cannot see, and we never saw anybody like us on screen or anywhere being successful.
I remember I was very young when I heard someone describe me as quite dark. But as I grew older, I began to realize that the society that I was a part of seemed to have an issue with people who had darker shades of skin. I couldn't figure this out. I couldn't understand why that was such an issue. This was further enhanced by advertisements and commercials that I saw on television, promoting beauty products that claimed to have the ability to lighten the tone of your skin. I remember thinking, well, what's wrong with the way I look? Why do I need to modify the color of my skin?
So I came across colorism when I was really young, when I don't think I even conceptualized it properly. I was around 7 or 6 when my friends asked me why my skin's darker than them. So as I slowly observed my surroundings, I was able to match the dots and stuff, like in movies, how all the heroes and heroines are usually a fair tone, and then advertisements and whatnot.
The kind of roles that I largely did were very sort of real characters, and if I did a role of let's say a rural person, like a village woman or a slum dweller or a lower class or a lower caste person, then it was fine. But the minute I would do a character that was upper middle class, educated, affluent, then somebody from the team would definitely come and tell me that, can you please lighten your skin because we are showing this kind of a character, and I would tell them then it's wrong casting. Why would you choose me? And then and they just want to stereotype it to an extent that we kind of we perpetuate that kind of labeling, that kind of stereotyping, that a certain class of people have to be fairer, or a certain caste has to be fairer, and a certain class and caste has to be darker. And these imageries are very powerful. They go into our subconscious. The films, the hoardings, magazines, ads, everywhere that we see, people like us are just not represented.
that I had actually not given myself the license to be creative all throughout my life. Even though I was a kid who was really good at dancing, I was really good at singing, I was really active in everything, but I never gave myself that right because deep down I had internalized the belief that I didn't have the right to be creative. I didn't have the right to take up space. I didn't have a right to be in front of a camera.
If they were doing a feature on the dance school and, you know, the dancers, I would be constantly told to go back in and powder my face some more, until it just got to a point where I was just like, you know what, I can't make myself look any more different than I already look. And I know that those are wounds that have possibly healed, but they're wounds that I think I will always possibly carry, even in terms of, you know, clients who always ask for lighter skinned dancers. And
my family and my parents have said they have, especially when they have been in India, they know that there is very much a prejudice and oppression to say, you know, the north and the south, because people in Kerala are a lot darker, and there is a lot of stigma about the colour of your skin there. And then, as you mentioned, particularly if you're black as well, so if you come from parts of Africa, then you really are considered the lowest of the low, even more so than a dark-skinned person from India. So with all the Black Lives Matter movements, while a lot of people that I know, myself included, have wholeheartedly been, you know, wanting to fight with everybody and also reflect on our own prejudices and issues, I think that in itself is something that really needs to be tackled, and looking at the sort of inner complications of individual countries and how they view skin color.
I personally have really no preference with darker skin and lighter skin. I just associate lighter skin with success because that's how we think, right? That's how, like, everyone who, when you see light skin and dark skin, and I think this is a deeply rooted cultural problem, because we see dark skin as something that only like laborers and people who not as a genetic issue at all. Like, we see it as a result of where you work. But I believe that because obviously it's a genetic issue, we can't do anything about it. So the only way to change that is just to educate people about it. That's it.
If I want to put on fairness cream, it would obviously because I want to be lighter or have lighter skin. And that usually just comes out of that standard of beauty, right? That people with white skin are more beautiful and stuff. Why do you think you should be lighter? What she said, if it's because you think that it's going to make you more beautiful, which would make you more accepted.
Still talking about fairness ads and fairness commercials and fairness products being created by these companies, what's your take on Fair and Lovely deciding to drop the word lovely and replacing it with the word glow?
It's stupid, to be honest. Changing the name of something does not just erase all of the years of telling people you'll be successful and you'll be beautiful if you're fair and everything. That is just like, it's like if somebody stabs someone in the back, and instead of people arresting the person and demanding justice for the person, they simply relabel the crime from murder to homicide. It's really nothing. There's no change in that. It would be better if Glow and Lovely would actually address this issue and change their whole take on this product. People nowadays don't mind if you just make a cream or a product that is just for the health of your skin, so your skin isn't dirty or anything, or it's, stuff like that, like related to health, not related to skin color itself, or just appearance wise.
अरे यार देखो कौन यहाँ आ गया, सावला है रंग इसका अंधेरा बुझा गया, लाइट मुझे अब बढ़ाना पड़ेगा, मेकअप मैन को बोल के इसको गोरा करना पड़ेगा, फोटोशॉप में भी मेहनत करना पड़ेगा, तभी इसका फोटो मैगजीन में छपेगा।
जज ने भी बोला तेरे अंडर टैलेंट बहुत है, पर तेरे जैसों को हम देते नहीं स्लॉट है। कला जो भी हो तेरा रंग तेरा लॉस है, जो यहाँ पे गोरा वही जाएगा टॉप पे। तेरे बस का नहीं कहीं और तू ध्यान दे, टैलेंट शो छोड़ के लग जा तू किसी काम पे।
2008, a group called Women of Worth launched the Dark is Beautiful campaign as a response to the notion and toxic belief that fair is lovely and dark is ugly.
Looking back, all I can remember are stories of people, stories of pain, and sometimes stories of joy of having had the realization that you don't have to be anything other than who you really are. That moment when you realize that you can be comfortable in your own skin no matter what people think of you. I was not born a Dark is Beautiful campaigner, but the stories of people and leading the campaign has changed me. It has had a cathartic effect in me. Help me deal with my implicit bias, how I look at myself and how I look at others who are darker than I am. And I've had to learn to own my heritage as an Indian, as a South Asian, and be comfortable in my own skin.
This was such a timely effort because it gave place for not just women and girls, but men and boys as well, to voice out their deep hurts and resentments over such a bias. For the first time, people began to talk about their stories of discrimination and prejudice based on skin color. The campaign went viral on social media as it gathered the support of some influential personalities like actor and activist Miss Nandita Das and others.
After I joined the campaign, I was so many young women especially would come up to me, write to me, talk to me about these issues and felt validated because of this campaign. So firstly, I'm very grateful to Women of Worth, to all these wonderful women who came together to fight this crazy prejudice in today's world, in today's times, when there are so many bigger battles that we have to fight, that that the society at large is trying to make us feel less worthy because of just the color of the skin that we are born into.
I remember going to a workshop, to do a workshop on colorism at a hotel, and I noticed something really strange. In front of me were seated people and they were in two sections. One section was lighter skin and one section was dark skinned. And later I realized the ones that were lighter were people serving at the front office, meeting people, and they were in the serving roles where they met their guests, whereas the ones who were darker were people who worked at the back end of the hotel.
The Dark is Beautiful team put in a lot of effort to bring awareness on colorism, from student initiatives, flash mobs, workshops, petitions against irresponsible advertising, and art-inspired events and programs. Thanks to social media, it gave more visibility for the campaign. They began to be noticed by media not just in India, but all over the world.
These were some of the questions that then prompted me to embark on a year-long art project. This project encouraged me to reflect on the issue of colorism here in India. It allowed me to paint and draw young people who have dark skin just like mine. And this entire process got me to realize from deep down within that we are beautiful as we are.
We need to stop buying fairness creams and skin lightening products and all that other useless, baseless stuff that is preaching untruth, is preying on our fear to purchase. We need to stop using all of that. We need to put them out of business by not giving them our dollars and not buying into their lie that we're only going to have success and love and opportunity if we're fair skinned.
My daughter looks just like me, and I remember to tell her every day that she is beautiful no matter what her skin color is or no matter what her physical features are.
It's something that I hope will end during my lifetime, because as I look at my two kids, I want them to live in a place where no one's going to approach them and say Blackie, nor equally important are my two kids going to go up to someone and say Blackie to them. It's not something that is going to stop by itself, and the change starts with you. it starts with me.
Everything that we've been fed is a perception. This notion that dark skin is ugly was a perception, but it was made so mainstream for so long that everyone just believed it without question. So I really truly believe that colorism can be ended because it's just a shift in perspective, the way we represent dark skin in stories. So on television or in movies, the way that we represent dark skin is just through, the villain has dark skin, or this person whose life is really sad has dark skin. But we need to start creating, these empowered storylines about people with dark skin, and also start including them in our narratives and, start including them in our writers' rooms.
The only advice that I can give to young people is that believe in yourself. You're not defined by the color of your skin. You're not defined by your gender. You're not defined by anything that you had nothing to do with, your given identities. You're defined by how you think, what you do, your interests, your skill, your talent. That is what truly defines you and me and all of us. And even if there are people around you who are discriminating you, if you stop discriminating yourself, if you stop feeling less about yourself, if you define yourself with your thoughts and actions and your passions and your interests, then automatically people will also stop defining you with just your skin color. Why should it matter? I know it's easier said than done because there is such a oppression about it. Everyone is kind of reminding you that, oh, you're a woman, so you can't do these things. You're dark, so you're not beautiful. And beauty has become so much more important about, for women especially, as if beauty is being standardized. So if you disagree with this kind of a definition of beauty, if you believe that's not what you want to be defined as, then don't fall prey to it. Just be yourself, be comfortable in your skin, and tell yourself that colorism ends with me.
I think together we can change the conversation. We can change things from a societal level, and we can start to honor and celebrate diversity, celebrate the rainbow of beautiful skin colors that exist not just in South Asian culture, but in all cultures everywhere in the world. And that's part of my job and my mission in my work with the campaign, is to help spread that awareness and that important message to Hollywood and beyond. Use your voice. Use it loudly and proudly. Beauty comes in every shade of skin, period. End of sentence.
I think it's high time we declared this colorism ends with me. And looking back at history, sometimes we get angry and we say, we have colorism today because of this, that, and the other. Yes, we need to look at history, but let's look back at history to learn. And if you ask me, why do we still have colorism today? Who's responsible for it? I would say we're all equally responsible for it, because we have entertained those thoughts. We have kept that sort of a mindset thriving in our midst. We have believed it. We have called people names because of their skin color. I have endorsed it, so I need to change first. And that's why the slogan colorism ends with me. I think we all have to own it and take it with us wherever we go. Take it to your family gatherings, take it to your workplace, talk about it, don't stay silent. Even if you're not a South Asian or an Indian, you still can fight for what is right and just. So take it with you, dance about it, sing about it, write about it, use your talents, your skill to ensure that colorism ends with you. Colorism ends with me. It's my responsibility and yours.
This is my pledge to end colorism. I will accept friends of all different colors.
I will not endorse skin whitening products.
I promise to stand against all stereotypes associated with darker shades of skin.
I'm comfortable in my own skin and will empower others to embrace their own. My relationships with people will not be based on the color of their skin.
I'll stand for inclusivity, diversity, and representation of all skin colors in all walks of life.
I pledge to support all efforts towards ending colorism in a peaceful but courageous manner.
And colorism ends with me because it discriminates.
Colorism ends with me as it
devalues others.
Colorism ends with me.
Colorism ends with me because darker skinned people deserve the same chances and treatment as everybody else.
Colorism ends with me.
Colorism ends with me because I believe everyone is beautiful.
And I'm here to say that colorism ends with me.
Colorism ends with me.
Colorism ends with me because it's everybody's responsibility.
Colorism ends with me.
Say no to skin color discrimination. Dark is Beautiful, a WOW initiative.